Hello, guys. Today I'll talk about DeFi. And let me introduce our speakers. Sergey, yeah, from Australia, and Gamar.
Pleasure to
Hello.
be here.
Yeah. Okay, guys. What's going on with DeFi?
Yeah, DeFi I think has had one of the fastest moving months in a long time. There's been a steady stream of Uniswap forks happening every single week with rewards and attempts to take liquidity from Uniswap and then Uniswap more or less responded with probably the greatest airdrop of all time, with a stimulus-sized allocation of tokens for everyone who's used Uniswap in the past. And there's been talks of like scaling solutions for Ethereum, whether it be on side chains or layer 2 roll-ups or optimistic. So a lot has taken place in like the past couple weeks. There's a lot to touch up on, and yield farming is also a pretty big trend, and just opening up people to earning interest on their holdings.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And you mentioned it's actually quite amazing what's going on. I mean, it's somewhat reminiscent of 2017, but I think the market is a lot more mature now, and the projects are already operating a lot of the time. So at least, well, they're operating for the sake of operating, at least for now. Because I mean, the only reason why you would borrow from a compound is to put it back in from a different account, and it's really cool. And it's actually very cool to see things like that sushi taking over 70% of Uniswap's liquidity, and then Uni getting it back and reaching all-time high log deposits. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think a lot of platforms are attempting at least to form their own communities and trying to get the liquidity providers to sort of stay on the platform when all those crazy 8,000% APY rewards are kind of gone, and a lot of them are kind of dying really quick, and a lot of them have the promise of like, this token will let you govern the platform. So yeah. I know DAOs were a thing a few years ago, and then the DAO hack happened, and then that sort of direction has been quiet for a few years, and now it's picking back up, which is really exciting. Like, for example, I'm part of the DX DAO, and they have actually a separation between like the financial interest and like the earned rep interest. So governing power actually does not, it's not a viable thing the way like most governance tokens are.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I haven't seen that, but yeah, that's real neat. Maybe like depending on the listeners, and I'm thinking we should probably define DeFi and then go from there, or you just hit it straight in. And unless you've been in the industry for a while, you're gonna go, what the hell are these guys talking about? Maybe that's probably a better way to go, so people don't get too confused.
Yeah, this will be great. Yeah.
Sure. So, I would say DeFi in a nutshell is a way to use new financial products using blockchain, and in a way that often fosters like non-custodial sovereignty over your own funds, and often involves permissionless software.
Yeah, that's I would agree with that. And I mean, non-custodial is important, and I think it's the next iteration of. I really do think it's the next iteration of financial evolution of such. right? Where you got projects. Some projects uh, showing the traits of a central bank. Some projects are showing the traits of retail bank, and every deviation from there, and every derivative from there. And it's actually quite amazing to see what the geeks are coming up with. Now, it's actually quite funny the way it's happening with sushi and things like and yam, because everyone has learned to hate the bankers, right? Because the bankers are usually evil. Now, I always said, and I still think the same, that we get to find out who is worse, the greedy bankers or greedy geeks. So, so I mean, projects like Yam, for example, it shows that the greedy geeks could be quite quite bad as well.
Yeah.
What is the opportunity for the DeFi during the pandemic? What do you think?
Well, I would say that DeFi is a very growing industry, and the pandemic has, limited a lot of people's career paths. Obviously, this year, but I don't know. I think the DeFi industry really is picking up and is not terribly impacted by the pandemic. I guess lifestyle-wise, you get to work remotely. You get to participate in real innovation, and in an industry that is just iterating just constantly. So I would say overall, it's a good space to be in. I was very fortunate to sort of get into it at very deeply and seriously around when lockdown happened. Yeah.
Well, in terms of pandemic, I mean, if you're in lockdown that happened in Italy or Melbourne recently, or in some parts of US, well, you got nothing else to do, right? You got no you got no movies coming out, right? You had well, pretty much nothing, right? And you're not going anywhere. And I mean, I think whatever you don't spend on strippers in Vegas, you probably spend on a token in Uniswap. So which is pretty cool, right? So at least you got something to stuff around with. And I mean, it's funny you should mention stimulus, and whoever spent stimulus stuffing around in Uniswap has, well, at least tripled or quadrupled their money, right? I don't know what stimulus, the amount of stimulus you had, what 1,200 or something, wasn't it? And I mean, just if you sold Uni at the peak after distribution, you would have had what $8 it hit, eight times 4, you got 3.2. That's almost triple it, which is quite amazing, right? So so let's hope that you didn't, like I said, as far as the economies are concerned, whatever you didn't spend on a European trip, if we're talking about America or Australia, you probably put in well, DeFi. Even when you think about it, you gotta even things like gambling. Like you couldn't even gamble during COVID, right? Because first time in forever we had casinos closed in Australia and casinos closed in Vegas, so which is quite crazy when you think about it. And I mean, DeFi is the ultimate casino right now, right? It has no limit, going up and down, and I mean, you can blow your deposit and I mean, you really need to take great, right? Because recently the humanity has been moving away from it, right? Nobody is responsible for anything, right? If somebody does something, or it's somebody else to blame. But here, like in a bank, for example, right? If you send some money somewhere, and the chances are the bank is going to refund you if you didn't authorize the transaction, or if you say that you didn't authorize the transaction. In DeFi, or if the contract that is bad, the money is definitely gone. And I mean, I think it's very nice for people to actually come back to the individual responsibility, actually.
Yeah, it's still a very small and fragile space, and it's unregulated. So there are many risks involved, obviously. There are periods where just, token prices, they fly off the charts for a very brief period, and then they crash just as bad, you know, as they went up. So it's tough to like introduce people to this space, in the sense that, like, you know, it's like, where does all this money come from? You know, and it does take like some patience, like hand holding and research. And I try to tell all of my friends around me, like, this, like, you should know about this at the very least, because crazy stuff happens. Lives change. You know, they turn around, careers turn around, and there are easier ways to I guess manage your wealth in a way that is fruitful. So it's worth learning about, for sure.
Well, especially, see, I think DeFi offers a great foray into the alternative look at finance, right? Because currently, with the monetary policy of Federal Reserve, right, or with the Reserve Bank of Australia in our case, and with every other country, right, well, we fast heading towards zero interest rates, right? And I think you're already there, very close to it, right? So when you got you know, American T-bonds, all right, and the zero yields, then you got yourself some issues, and that's where things like DeFi and the crazy ideas like that come through. I mean, let's not forget that the last financial crisis, and we definitely, you can be sure that we're heading for one, but the last financial crisis gave us Bitcoin. I mean, I'm sure this financial crisis is going to give us, well, DeFi in its proper form. And I'd like to think that, and it's actually quite amazing what is happening, and it's quite amazing to see what humans are actually coming up with, while they have nothing better to do than just to sit at home and basically come up with stuff.
Yeah, totally. You know, whenever there are occurrences of just mass inflation, it's always like it's like a bat signal for a lot of people in crypto, and you know, kind of just reinforces their beliefs that crypto, Bitcoin, they're hedges against fiat, in the sense that they have you know, just a deflationary nature, and there's no Federal Reserve for Bitcoin. No one can mint anymore, and that's it. You know, just judging by the history, it's got a great trajectory, in my own opinion.
Yeah. See the problem. Sir, yeah, go.
Yeah. And guys, what's going on the technology side? What is new during like the pandemic, and what is like new opportunities in the DeFi technology side?
Well, DeFi is the opportunity. So,
Yeah,
so when we talk about technology,
yeah,
we've got Ethereum, and we've got DeFi. Well, we've got all the everything's been happening in Ethereum. It's been replicated in different chains.
Mm-hmm.
With the Binance chain coming up, that's actually, as far as decentralization is concerned, quite worrying, right? But you know, it is what it is, right? So you've got projects on Cosmos, you've got projects on Waves, you've got projects starting on Tron, which are the same sort of projects, right? But they're on different blockchains that don't get blocked up, or a lot cheaper than Ethereum. And I mean, the technology is quite amazing, and I think the quickest and the most versatile one and agile one will win. And that's what's going on. Basically, all the blockchains are in a race to produce better product. You got, well, Uniswap, right? With Ethereum, you got Spartan with the Binance, right? And all of the others. I think you got Gravity, it's called, with and I can't remember the names of others, but it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Interesting. And okay. And what's going on the like a startup side? And like your advices for the investors.
Is this like with like in
Like the
general.
millennials, like, yeah, sometimes they talk about Robinhood generation because it's look like the new class of digital assets and like a new opportunities for the young investors too.
Yeah, I think young investors are like so perfectly positioned, and there's people like investors like me, like I wish I knew about this sooner. So anyone who's young and in this space, it's still younger than they are, and they're still very, very early. So totally do your own research. Don't rely too much on Twitter to make your investment decisions. Just read articles, white papers. You just listen to podcasts so you can have deeper educational dives. It's very easy to be drawn to promises of returns and crazy yield numbers. And you have the time, more time than you think to make your own decisions, and start small. And blockchain is new technology, and applications on it are very new and a lot of the time unaudited. So I think the best way to just learn about DeFi is to just try some of these things out. It's the best way.
Yeah, I concur. Basically, the thing is, this is something brand new. So basically, don't go borrowing from mom, and don't ask her to mortgage the house, right? And put it all in DeFi. But use some of the money that you saved working loans over the past 5 years, right? And use 10% of that to play around with it, right? I'm sure some people already blown the other 90 on Robinhood in particular, which is so you got nothing to lose anyway. But no, nonetheless, just basically back to basics. Do your homework. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, but do throw some money, 100 or 200, 300, whatever, into it to basically play around. I mean, for all we know, some other Uniswap type projects will come and give you free couple of grand, which already happened.
Yeah, and I think that crypto is going to have more applications and offerings that appeal to more people. I think one pretty new trend that has been talked about are non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, and people are excited about it, but we don't know in what way it'll hit us. That it'll be a crazy new trend, like yield farming, these Uniswap clones we're doing. I had my sister. She's just out of college and trying to find a career path in like art and design. And I pointed her to some like NFT platforms to see like, hey, people are buying art online, for crypto, and it would be a great way to like try it out, because it's like in your interest, and it's also you're learning about crypto and how to use these distributed applications. So I hope there's more of that coming, that applies to people in a way that is more than just like finance and lending and all that.
Yeah, NFT is definitely to go as well.
Interesting. And let's talk about different insights beyond like the next 15 year. If I talk about blockchain technology, what is the next?
Yeah.
Why?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's all speculation from here on out. I think that DeFi moves and evolves so fast. Like scaling it is going to be solved, and it's not going to matter so much like how many transactions per second, how much gas. It's going to be like what cool strategies could you implement now and automate for any person who just wants to have some passive income, to just sort of click a button and just have an automated strategy worked out, iterating and improving on its own, and you could sleep at night and just earn passively. I think that'll be there. I think Ethereum will be able to scale itself. I hope that decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs, become a lot more popular and applied towards real world environments. Like, I'm a part of a couple of DAOs, and the DAOs mainly focus on DeFi, but I think it could expand and to just add more color to what DAOs really are. It's just a way for a collective of people to organize and govern a treasury and manage it strictly through consensus, so that no single person has access to all this funding, and no single person is calling all the shots. You need to propose what happens with the treasury, and it's transparent, it's all on chain, and you need votes, you need each other to make things happen. And that is needed like way outside DeFi, but it is the starting place. And I would love to see like after school programs have a DAO and a treasury of funds and proposals that saying, hey, can we get 0.1 Ether so we can buy some art supplies to use towards this, and then have votes happen among the kids. So I think DAOs are super early and super infantile, and I really see them being like a new paradigm for people working together. Because the way things are now, there's like CEOs, there's presidents, there's kings and queens, and I think that for groups of people who do well, everyone is proactive and taking initiative and exhibiting traits of leadership, so that we don't need one person telling everyone else what to do. I think that is an old way of thinking. Sorry for the rant.
Yeah,
Perhaps,
what do you think?
what's going to happen in 15 years?
Yeah.
Let's hope we get rid of COVID as a starting point, right? So that'd be a great technique if we do that. But yeah, I agree with DAOs, right? However, with DAOs, maybe where the votes are weighted, and not just based on the number of tokens, and you touched on that, and that where like the number of tokens doesn't really doesn't equal to the number of votes. But it's basically, I believe in something as far as the DAO is concerned. I believe in something called liquid democracy, where whoever is most qualified has a greater weight of the vote. In other words, if we take we take a plumber and an economist, right? If we decide in the diameter of the pipes that the sewage or something goes through, or the water goes through, right? Then the plumber should probably have more votes than an economist. If we're deciding, say, a Brexit of sorts, then an economist should probably have greater voting power than a plumber, and that can be applied to everything. So that's reputation-based voting of sorts. Another thing, I think the lady has asked us a question, but I'm not quite sure what it means. So, can assets be separate with usual assets from our world and estimated by other rules? And where is the void for the question? I think what it means is that if you have an asset on chain, or if you say that's probably towards the non-fungible token.
Okay.
In how do you enforce it? I think that's what she's asking. And the way to enter that currently is you would have some sort of legal document that enforces that. Now that, for example, is actually a good point, because I mean any DeFi is only as good as the enforcement. So before we go on DeFi, for example, or non-fungible tokens, we really need the legal structure that everyone agrees on to enforce any disputes or anything that happens, and enforce the ownership as well. Not just saying, okay, I've got tokens, I've got ownership. I mean, there's no point of having tokens of Picasso if Picasso is not for sale, right? So.
Yeah, I guess how I would respond to that question is, can we put real world assets on chain and connect them in a way that is decentralized? And I know that there are attempts at doing that, and there are applications that involve real world assets. And just because of the technical limitations, that the only solutions we have now are centralized. But who knows? There are Oracle related projects that are attempting to solve this Oracle problem now. I wouldn't expect it to be perfect or anywhere near perfect anytime soon. But of course, we want to see the supply everywhere in the world. I think it does have that potential.
Great.
Interesting. And what is your advices for the startups who want to survive during pandemic?
Create a token, put it in the pool, make sure it's popular, right, and it pumps. Then sell it at the top, and that's going to be enough for you to survive, I'm sure.
That's one practical route. I guess another one.
Yeah.
I guess learn to adapt with the times, because especially with like non-blockchain businesses, they just can't survive without some kind of like human interaction. Like I knew there was one story about a woman who had a clothing store, and since she could not get any customers walking in to the store, she took the leftover like fabrics and materials and she cut them up and made masks out of it. And then she became way more successful than she ever could with her store. So, and that was just a factor of adaptation. So I think that's really important for any startup.
No, hospitality has been really hard hit, and I mean, naked kitchens of sorts is now the norm. So yeah, adaptation is the key, and it's like agility and perseverance. So as far as startup is concerned, or any startup, I'm sure that if people do run startups, they would know that there are always challenges, starting with extending the runway, continuing on with getting traction and everything. So just keep doing what you're doing and just think outside the box. When I say the box, I mean traditional finance. So if you start thinking outside the box of the traditional finance, I think you're going to be on the winning wicket here, which is pretty cool.
Totally.
Okay. Thank you guys for this, like the 25 minutes. See you on the next week.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks.
Yes.
See you guys.
Good talking. Cheers.